In order for it to be definitely a castle, they don't need to change the house at all. They just dig the moat and have a little drawbridge with it, right?
Like an outer wall?
Yeah. But do they, it seems like they may even have like
an outer wall
something
already.
like that. Maybe. They have nice fencing that's around it. 1, 2, 3, go.
Jennifer Hardy, har har.
Believe it or not.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
The Lawyer Dana podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
And we're going to do it right after this.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana podcast.
I'd be like Vince Vaughn. That's right. Like making up different things and trying different things every different time, trying to make you guys break and laugh. Yeah, exactly. You know that there was a movie or some show. Robin Williams came in and somebody.
Billy Crystal, Friends?
Billy Crystal. Yeah, it was on Friends, and they just completely made that up on the fly.
No idea
Yeah.
that this was going to
And this cast didn't even know that they were coming
that's what
in.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The cast had no idea that was happening.
Okay, you can start.
But but I think what's fascinating about the Pixar doing it was that it's not like it just accidentally happened. It's
Right.
They had to actually
It takes a minute.
Yeah. And
You mean those characters aren't real?
yeah,
Actually,
but that makes them
they
creates
do
the
have
magic.
a technology. At Disney World, there's a ride in the Magic Kingdom. It's not a ride. It's like a show.
Is that
It's the
Turtle
comedy
Time
show.
with Crush? Oh, are you talking?
It's with
Monsters.
Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well-
And they have some comedian back there, and the video automatically syncs with the.
And his movement and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know how they do it, but that would be fascinating. I would love to do. In fact, so we should take the Lawyer Dana podcast there and film that behind the scenes, because we do. So we have. So all right. So I'll intro what we're doing today. So we're with Denise Garcia,
Villarreal.
Gonzalez, Villarreal.
It's
So
Hispanic.
take two. Leave that in because that's hilarious. I once asked someone, "What's Greg's name?" The answer was Greg. So I suck at name. I know Lawyer Denise.
Yeah.
And that's all that's important. LawyerDenise.com. And on the Lawyer Dana podcast with Jennifer Hardy har har.
She loves.
Yeah, now she's infamous. It's Jennifer Hardy har har. Who are you going to be walking down the street? And,
You're gonna be.
is that Jennifer Hardy har har? Oh my goodness.
What was the name of the skeleton on the Craig Ferguson show?
Oh, yeah,
You're gonna be the skeleton.
was it Greg?
I might have been Greg. No, Jeff. It was Jeff.
Jeff. Oh, the
Geoff.
classic also name. There's classic name. There's Jeff. There's Greg. Is there Paul? I don't know. I'm making this up as
You're
I
gonna
go.
be Geoff.
Geoff.
Yeah.
I know a Geoff.
I do
But
too.
He's
I used to know a
he's
Geoff.
now a insurance investigator, leads a team or something. He was former law enforcement, and he shoots really well. He has all these guns, and he's into very high dollar fine wine. And I'm going, wine and guns. That's Dana about a year ago.
There's a
Yeah.
pharmacy down in Corpus Christi, or just outside of Corpus Christi. At least it used to be there. I don't know if it's still there, but it was Nichols Pharmacy, and they opened a gun store kind of in front of the pharmacy.
Pharmacy and
so
guns.
it's like their billboard was drugs and guns.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That's a little bit oil and water, right?
I don't know if you want someone getting a gun and getting drugs all the same.
Well, the prescriptions.
I think it's
we're not
I think
talking
it's
about a
one
list
or
of
the other.
substances.
It's, yeah.
Could be bad too.
It's really like, hey, we're gonna. You know what? There's a whole niche of people that we can't serve with the gun store, and those are the people that are on drugs. We should serve that market too. Let's open a drugstore right next to the gun store. It has to be that, right? Is that where they were at?
Well, my understanding is the pharmacist was actually a firearm enthusiast, and so he was just like two loves. He loved being a pharmacist, and he loved being a.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I like
The
having my
firearms, but-
business close together to, business near home, near.
Well, and I
Not
don't
exactly
remember there were very
on
many
top of.
firearms stores in Corpus. I was like
Although you would-
underage
You
at
would
the
think
time,
there
so I don't.
would. I mean, it's Texas.
Yeah.
You would think it's like McDonald's, Burger
Yeah,
King,
sure.
gun store, Wendy's.
But think about it. You're right there by the beach. Beach is calm, relaxing. A lot of people are.
That's because there's a gun store.
I will say there's this really great rifle range down at the very, very southernmost point of Texas, and it faces like it's oriented to Mexico. So I made the joke. I was like, this must be the safest place on the border.
An armed
But-
society is a polite society.
But yeah, but you're like right on the beach and it's beautiful, and then you've got that rifle range, and it was idyllic, but we were shooting rifles.
That's cool.
We do have some video footage of us with the county commissioner shooting an M1 Garand,
Oh
which is
wow!
a World War.
I did
rifle.
drills with that.
Did
in
you?
in ROTC.
Nice. Were you? So did you do military service or just
No,
ROTC?
I got medically disqualified, which was lousy. It was like I got my waiver the semester I graduated, and I did a victory lap or two. But yeah, no, I got my medical waiver way late, and it was just kind of like I was so irritated with the whole process that I just walked away from it, and I regret that. But it was very frustrating to go through.
I wish I would have gone in the military. Like I don't think it's weird because I don't think I was psychologically or mature enough. I don't know if I'm mature enough now, but
Hey,
it was.
wait.
I was like right in my mid 30s or whatever when you can't like, and I was right on the line. And I was like, I should do it, and I wish I'd have done it when I was younger.
I would just
but-
point out that 18-year-olds go to the military. So we're
Yeah.
talking maturity. I don't think that that's an issue.
You know, I will say this much. We had this full conversation with our 18-year-old about military. And again, I'm against military for my kid because I don't want to like sit up all night worrying because I know I will. Like, is he alive? Where is he at? Oh my gosh. Like I would be that type of parent. But he wants to get into ministry, and so my husband was like going through like if you
Be a
were
chaplain.
if
Yeah.
you were a military chaplain, you know, you don't even get to, you don't hold a gun, you don't
You don't
learn.
hold a gun, but
Yeah.
you can't go
But
into
then
combat.
what's the point? That's the fun part.
You still go through all the training. You
Oh.
still,
Yeah, you go
you
through
still
all
are.
the training, but you don't get a weapon.
I would want to do
So
what
here's the
Ladney
thing.
Bassam did.
But here's the thing, you go through all that.
Become
and
a
then-
specialist in something that
and
Rifles.
keeps you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then you get sent off to war, and you're there to help
Well,
emotionally support these people who
yeah.
are going through some of the hardest
Oh
times.
yeah, that's true.
But what if someone's coming at you, but you don't have a gun? Like,
That's like the medics and the
Yeah.
you know, the people that were
Yeah.
the Red Cross. My dad was a doctor in the Army, so I know that he I believe had a gunner that was like kind of his dude, but no, he wouldn't have a firearm either.
you know.
And they do send doctors to like the forward. I don't think they go to the like forward aid stations. And of course, my knowledge of combat medicine comes from MASH, so that's a little dated.
That would have been a problem for me because I think maybe, but you put me in a situation, I'm gonna react.
Right.
But there's just things that I'm pretty adverse to, and like back when it was doctor versus lawyer, I was in high school and I went into a hospital for like some kind of thing. Is like you can come in and shadow or some kind of whatever, and I lasted like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and I was like, nope. It may or may not be lawyer, but it's definitely can't be doctor. Like
That's
I can't do
crazy.
it. I was lightheaded at
So
sight
many
of blood and
doctors,
everything.
so many lawyers I've talked to, they were. It's like we were all at that same juncture. Do I become a doctor or do I become a lawyer? And I actually shadowed my dad for a week. I was like, well, if I do go to medicine, it's not to be an OBGYN. I know that one.
I couldn't do it.
Well,
I mean,
my
it was-
husband wanted to be a dentist.
My
And he
mom
wanted
went to
be
dental
a-
school.
I mean, he literally started his path.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then he switched it
To law.
to law. Yeah.
My mom went to dental school,
Yeah.
and then she walked away because she had kids, and my older sister apparently made her cry. So.
You know the game of life where it's like doctor and lawyer, and like doctors. I think it's been years since I played, but like doctors like slightly above lawyer. I agree.
Well, given how
Yeah,
much
go a lot
was it,
more
they go to
school.
another
I think
school.
I think it's
and
more
then
than slight though. I think
residency, yeah.
doctor's definitely above lawyer. Like I'm like I'm in the second place career at best. You know, like because doctor is
It
better
takes
than
a
lawyer.
very special person.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and I feel like each, because growing up with my dad, I've met a lot of doctors kind of along the way that people he worked with and whatnot. But each specialty even has its own demeanor. So like orthopedic surgeons tend to be kind of the jocks of the group, and then you've got kind of more esoteric specialties like psychiatry. And I was actually looking at ophthalmology and orthopedics, but to specialize in hand surgery. And so
my neighbor that lives across the street from me, is an orthopedic hand surgeon.
That's really cool.
He
Yeah.
lives in the castle that I can see from my front door.
It's a castle.
It's a we have this discussion. It's like, is that a castle, or is it
fort.
just an amazing mansion, or is it a castle? And I'm like, that's a castle.
It's like, where's the line though? It's just because it's in the United States, it becomes a mansion. But if it was
no,
in
it's a
Europe,
castle.
it's a castle.
All they need is like
A moat, drawbridge.
Yes,
If they had a moat, it would be clearly a castle. But they could. So in order for it to be definitely a castle, they don't need to change the house at all. They just dig the moat and have a little drawbridge. with
Bigger
it,
wall,
right?
like an outer wall.
Yeah, but do they? It seems like they may even have like
An outer wall
something like
already.
that. Maybe they have nice fencing that's around it.
Do they have parapets? I'm gonna have to check this house out when I leave.
Yeah, well, yeah. When you roll out the driveway, just
Look left.
I mean,
Yes.
you know
can't
what?
miss-
You
can't miss
if
it.
you know to look for it, and like, oh, castle, because there's the castle. That's the castle. And he's very nice. He and his wife are really, really.
Oh yeah,
nice,
they live
sweet
in a
people.
castle.
That's their dream.
You're not trying to get into their castle, so they're not trying to fend you off.
The thing is, like, what, it was about maybe 6 years ago when they bought the house. They paid about the same price that I paid for mine.
Oh, they bought that house? They didn't build it?
No. And a friend of mine was the realtor that sold it, and it was a nasty divorce that happened, and the husband or their wife, one of the two was like out of the house, and the other one, or at a certain point, like something happened to where they filled it with hay inside the house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just to be a jerk, and it was like stupid. That's one of the things you see. You see when you see petty in a divorce, you see a different level of petty. So have you been watching, either of you? Have you been watching Depp versus Heard?
No.
Oh no, I did. Oh no, I saw a clip of Johnny Depp like waiting for the hearsay objections, and I thought
My
that was
husband's been
delightful.
watching it.
That he's mastered the hearsay objection.
Yeah, he's
at
like,
this point.
"Are you going to?"
Somebody posted like, if Johnny Depp can understand and master hearsay in after 3 days of trial, law school is completely useless. And it is. I've got one case with a pro se that has learned non-responsive really well and has learned a decent amount about the hearsay objection. I mean, most of the actual hearsay objections in court are that it's hearsay, which is recognizable, and then by a party opponent is an exception, and they kind of get those two parts of the rule. It's the other list of the other
50 million
exceptions,
ones, yeah.
that they won't necessarily know. But that other list of exceptions doesn't really come up that much. I mean, it's what is it, 10% of the hearsay objections or something? Like they're not that.
Well,
common.
yeah, in family law.
In family law especially. Most of it is a hearsay objection of party opponents. Or,
Well, have
like,
you
what are
seen
they
the
saying?
movie War of the Roses?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that right there is classic,
Oh, yeah.
though. You know,
We
taking
should-
each other down.
We should do a watch party. As an episode, we should do a watch party of that movie, and like pause and comment and do like lawyer about. Like we should do that. We
I
should
feel like you
definitely
could do that with a lot of lawyer movies because I
Oh,
think
yeah.
a lot of people
Oh,
like.
this
We
one-
should do. So
this
guys,
one-
we're going to do a series of that. We are
This
doing
is the
that.
classic, like, divorce. Well, not like revenge.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Danny DeVito is like
Oh, it is
their
the.
attorney.
It's the epitome.
and it's like
Danny DeVito's an attorney.
in this movie, Michael Douglas.
That's believable,
is the
right?
husband.
Sorry,
It
I'm so
Kathleen
used to.
Turner?
It's Kathleen Turner.
I'm so
Okay.
used to
And
Danny
Michael
DeVito
Douglas.
being
Yeah.
in.
It is the
Tim Burton
quintessential revenge divorce movie.
I mean, it gets so bad they kill each other's pet.
Oh,
Like he accidentally runs over her cat, and the next thing you know, she takes out the dog. Like it is like
Wow.
it's every evil thing that you can do. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's the instruction sheet of don't do that.
Yeah.
So there are some things that have happened. So I decided I'm going to watch the entire trial because I started watching. I watched like a few hours worth of Depp's testimony, and I was like, hold on. And I looked back, and I was like, I was about a first week behind because he started, I think, this week, which is the second week. And so since I can watch things at double speed on YouTube and completely be along with it, I actually wish I could do it in triple speed because double speed is seeming pretty slow for this trial. Like it's normal. Like
People talk slow at trials, is what I've noticed.
well, I tend to talk too fast at trials, and I've always got the court reporter going,
Slow
down,
Yeah,
I'm
same.
missing stuff.
Guilty.
Yeah. And the more I listen to things at double and triple speed, like I'm trying to slow down right now, but my mind thinks at double and triple speed, and like I'll even skip words and not complete ideas because of.
So one of the things that I learned is that in my mother was very good about teaching us kind of social behavior and hospitality, and so I've learned that I have a tendency, or I've recognized that I have a tendency to finish people's sentences if they're not speaking quickly enough.
A lot of lawyers do that.
And
it's the worst thing you can do.
and it's so mean. And so I'm like,
and you don't realize you're doing.
I don't. And then when I do catch myself, and I also catch myself talking, I've been talked over so much that I've started, talking through it. And so I have to not do that in certain social situations. So like if I'm in court and opposing counsel starts trying to talk over me, then I'll talk through it. But if the judge starts talking over me, I'm like, and I'm done. Or if in like an actual social situation, I'm like, this is not the appropriate time. And so I've learned that I don't have to speak everything that's going through my head. I just need to stop sometimes and curate. And that's hard. That I didn't realize how hard that was until I started doing it.
Have you ever taken like one of these like giant sheets of thing, and you know how you can put them on an easel?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever gone number of times opposing counsel interrupts me, and every time they do it like this in front of the court and the judge?
No, but that's brilliant.
It can get it shut down, and it can make them look like the fools that you. I mean, like fools.
Definitely have a case right now where that one does that. That happens quite a bit, but
that's why always bring multiple easels and multiple packs of these things and markers to every hearing and trial that you have. Mm-hmm. 90-something% you won't use it.
Yeah.
But if you ever want to do it,
it's
think
there
about how
and you can do
effective
it.
that is.
That's very smart.
So
you can actually put that up and like.
Why not? And it's a demonstrative that you can use in court. And when you're arguing attorney's fees and you're arguing to the court, go, I've presented to you a logical, calm, reasonable case so you can understand the facts of this case and make an actual decision. They're over there barking, trying to interrupt me, trying to make you unable to really see what's going on in this case. Why? Because they know that their case is weak. And that type of strategy and what they've been doing is how they operate. And that type of attorney that they've sought out is the type of person that they are. So it's not just the attorney and it's not just the client. It's the two of them and how that's all been represented. Who do you think is the one that's been trying to settle this case? Is it the person that says soft divorce doesn't have to be so hard, and that we've been trying to settle this the entire time, and that 99% of our cases don't ever have to go to a jury or go to a final trial? Or is it this other side that's doing this? We've presented very reasonable things. We're asking you to make a reasonable determination of what's going on here. And that's a very it's that's the type of strategy of how we operate in family law that takes all of this it's chaos, argumentative nonsense, it's all your fault, like the barking dog, annoying person thing, and go, we're here and the foolishness is right here. So let's make an actual mature decision, put all of that nonsense aside. It was a funny show, wasn't it? But obviously we're going to disregard that because we're all adults and human beings. And we're not going to deal with that foolishness. But that foolishness is everything that everybody thinks that all of what family law is.
Does, yeah.
And it's not. We have ended all of that. We're in a much different level of maturity and effectiveness in family law that is like, that's childish foolishness.
Yep.
And it's only, and the Depp v. Heard trial is a very, very interesting thing. So as I watch through that, I'm going to probably be making commentary about that trial, but I'll do a couple of things that I've noticed now. There was I think it was one of the assistants, I forget which one of the people, but their entire testimony was struck. And it was one of Johnny Depp's witnesses, and the judge, somehow they found out, and the judge asked, have you been watching any of the testimony in this? And she goes, yes, I've watched some clips online. And she goes, okay, you're dismissed. And she immediately struck everybody's testimony, or not everybody.
All of that person's testimony.
All of that person's testimony was struck and she was dismissed, and she told Johnny Depp's lawyers. And so I'm like going, okay, so that's an interesting scenario, because the penalty, like, why should one of the litigants be penalized?
Because a witness.
Because of a witness doing that. And if a witness just wants to be like, no, my testimony's out, then I'll just go, no, I watched some testimony.
Then I don't have to testify.
And the witness doesn't get penalized. And I thought that was interesting, because you think Judge Roach may have struck the testimony, and bailiff take the witness into custody and put them in the tank while I determine how long they're going to stay with us.
Or Judge Roach might lay it down to the attorneys and be like, did you instruct this witness not to be...
The judge said in the attorney, that was Johnny Depp's, goes, this is the first I've heard of this. I would believe that the attorneys would not instruct their witness to do that. And the attorneys on both sides seem respectable, and not just competent, but also respectable and legitimate, and they're trying a case within the rules and not particularly cheating. The litigants, I don't want to, until I hear through everything, I'm not making any judgments on the veracity of witnesses or not, but maybe I'm going to do exactly that. So I'm trying not to do that, but here I go. So there was, in some of the things that Amber Heard had said in her both of the opening statements from the attorneys were very, very good. But there was a recording that was played of Amber Heard even admitting that she was throwing pots and pans at him. And I think there's admissions that she was actually physically abusing him. And I'm going, wait, even one of those, if the genders were reversed, would be absolutely...
Well, her accusations have already cost him so much.
Her accusations have cost him everything.
Yeah.
I mean her accusations have cost us, because I like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and he ain't going to be in Pirates 6. Or maybe after this trial he can be or would be, and it depends. I have seen some stuff. I have seen a couple of social media posts where people are taking his side, and one was from a female that said there's a woman who was, and listed all the stuff that's happened to Johnny Depp, like abuse. A man took for the purposes of our podcast, how do I say crapped on his sheets?
Defecated?
Defecated, that's a good word. So
deposited fecal matter.
She deposited her own fecal matter. Like, she squatted on his bed and like right there, right? And it's clear, because they have Yorkies. I have a good friend that has 2 Yorkies. Their poop's about this big, not human level of like, clearly that's a 200-pound or 100-pound animal that defecated, not a 4-pound animal. Like, okay, you're telling me that this dog crapped a pound, 25% of its body weight? No, animals do not poop 25% of their body weight. Like, and it was clearly human, and like, I've seen Yorkie poop.
What? So real quick,
He told her.
This is not the first time I've heard of someone doing this, and I just don't get it. I'm like, what is that proving? I'm just going to throw the sheets out.
It's an insult.
What? But I mean, but I mean, you had to get up in that area and pull your pants down and make a fool out of yourself in order to do this. I mean, it's like. Yeah. You had to damage your whole dignity as a human being to do this insult, and I just pity you.
Reprehensible if what Johnny Depp is saying is true, and so far a lot of it seems to be true. And this is brilliant on his part, is he's admitting to the truth of even the things that are bad against him. Mm-hmm. He's admitting to the drug abuse. And he's trying a truthful case. Which means that if he's saying these things that are bad, like, he's up there telling the truth. And if she's up there, so far, what is not comporting with what was argued by her attorneys on the opening statement, which she's not particularly advocating the truth, and she's saying, "Oh, I was a victim" or whatever, and it's really looking like she was the aggressor. She was the aggressor based on the evidence that I've seen. She was at least an aggressor,
Right.
and to do that, to be the aggressor who plays the victim, to me is worse than just obviously it's worse than just being the aggressor. If you're the aggressor and then you play the victim,
It's a whole level of you're not right in the head.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
you've got
well, I think that's pretty clear.
psychological problems.
So
going
you
on.
haven't been watching it?
I hear bits and pieces of it from Daniel.
Okay.
He's
I know he's watching a bit
He's
of it.
watching it because he's a huge Johnny Depp fan.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he really likes Johnny Depp. But and I know some of the backstory of it. I actually will turn it on and start watching it. But what I see out of this, because I've seen it with other people, is there are individuals out there that all they want to do is just make the other person look so terrible.
Yeah.
And
It's the
they
most
start
evil thing ever.
believing
Yep.
that
Their
this
own
is
lies.
what's really happening to them.
Yeah.
And they want people to feel bad for them.
They've manipulated their own story in their own mind to where it becomes quote unquote
Reality.
their truth.
Well, you see that in a lot of cases of narcissism, and it makes it really hard to, as they prosecute, but it makes it really hard to get through a divorce when the other party is a narcissist.
Oh yeah.
I've got a friend. I did not do family law in Florida. I did construction law and civil litigation, but a friend of mine went through a very contentious divorce in Florida, and her husband. I mean, I am not a specialist. I have no expertise in it, but I picked up a book and I read the symptoms and definition of narcissism, and this guy meets it to
Well, you see
textbook.
a lot. That's one of the main. So harddivorce.com, which is has your spouse threatened to ruin you financially, make your life a living nightmare, and take your kids away from you. We call that a hard divorce. If that's not what you want, we're here to protect you from that. Well, the narcissist is like half of the type of thing that's causing a hard divorce.
You need to just say, hard divorce? Are you living with a narcissist?
Yeah, narcissist divorce.
Yeah.
In fact, see if narcissist divorce is available. It must not be, but if it is, buy it right now. So,
But women can be just as bad.
Oh
as,
yes.
oh no.
men
Oh,
can
I
be
I may be
I have a-
biased, but
I have a
but
same-sex divorce right now.
relationship.
Same problem.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I
think our
There's-
society loses track of that. It's more
Right.
of like the man is the bad guy all the time.
to me,
And
just anecdotally, I would say it's even. I'd say it's 50-50.
yes.
Because and
So-
it's really easier, I think,
You
for a
just
woman to get away with it because they play on those cliches. It's just like a lawyer who plays on the cliche of what divorce is, and we got to fight for you, and we're gonna fight, and we're gonna win, and like they make it about the battle, and the battle only feeds the lawyer out billable hours and makes them money, and so they can feed on the stereotypes that the man is the abuser when if the woman is the abuser, then they have an additional tool of using the cliche that the man is the abuser to again further abuse the other spouse, which is the victim.
So just based on observation, and I haven't been practicing family law for very long, but in my limited experience, if the husband comes into my office and says that they need a divorce, they never say, I want a divorce. I've heard from all of them, I need a divorce or I need an attorney. And the way they want it resolved is, I just want this to go away. I'm just done. Yep. Whatever she wants. And these are the clients that I'm like, okay, it looks like we might be able to say,
with that, whatever. So a
But-
lot of people will come to us like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're like, give them whatever they want, I go, okay, I'm not above giving a generous and decent offer, but not too much.
right.
Not like let's keep it within the margin of error.
Right. Well, I mean,
And usually we go, look, let's just do a 50-50 type of
But
thing, or
that's
depends
the
on the.
problem. These are men that are coming in. they're beat down.
Beaten down.
Right, and they can't.
And
They
they
Which
have
is
no
why-
more fight left. in.
Which is why I usually tell them, look, this is the point where you hand the fight off, right?
Right.
It's like
Perfect.
let me
Exactly.
do the hard part and at least get this split properly.
Yeah.
Lots of times
but-
self-esteem is affected.
Oh,
so,
definitely.
yeah.
But when I have, but I would say about 50% of the women that come in are like, I want a divorce. This and this happened. I want a divorce, and I want him to pay for this, and he needs to pay for that. And it's a lot more entitlement. It's I want to destroy him. I want, and not all, like I said, it's about 50%. But I just have not ever seen it from any of the male clients I've had come in, and it's most of the time when I've had women come in, it's early on in the fight. When I have men come in, it's like we tried to make this work for 2 years, and she's got an attorney, and I've already, I sent a letter to the court, and we're already kind of like in the process, as opposed to,
And hopefully they haven't come to you too late after they've messed up something in
Yes.
a big way.
Right.
For God's sake, at the moment where the other
You
side
get
has
papers.
an attorney, you get an attorney, please.
Yeah.
Right.
And hire one. If you hire an attorney, there's like the two types of attorneys. You're either going to go after the aggressive, which if you want to spell ineffective, and it's spelled AGGRESSIVE, or the really, if you think you want an aggressive, like every time I see that in the Facebook groups, I'm like, I think you misspelled effective again. You should spell what you're looking for as EFFECTIVE.
Right.
Somebody who can solve a case and preferably do it quickly and efficiently at a lower cost, if possible. And the way that you do things at a lower cost is solve it quickly, because if you're billing, your number of hours is this many hours, and you solved it and got a healthy result, versus your number of billable hours is this much. Who's paying
benefiting?
more?
Yeah.
Right.
So, seems like I had another point there.
Yeah, it seemed like you were going somewhere.
I think I distracted myself away from what I was really going to say.
I think it's just making sure you're getting that person that's going to be on your side.
Oh, here's what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
It's not.
Yes, it
I
is.
brought you back on
It's
your-
exactly about that. That's the job of the co-host. is to
Yeah, well done.
fill the time while I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. So, so you mentioned about half, and I wonder on those ones. I wonder if that could be also a function of your marketing to get to the entrepreneur side. The type of marketing and message and who they think that you are will attract certain types of people and repel certain types of people.
Well, so the next question should be, what kind of marketing are you doing? So ask me that.
What kind of marketing are you doing?
Marketing? What?
So Jennifer and I had.
Step one.
So we now live in this time of Google, right?
Right.
And Google was there, late 90s or mid whatever. And we opened Palmer Law Group in 2006. And you would think that between 2006 and 2022, during that time, you would do some Google marketing. And I think Jennifer and I, for the first time in the history of the Palmer Law Group, are considering actually running our first Google ad. We have had infinity business without even ever running Google ads, just from reputation, really, and having to hide the brand. And a lot of it is just because we can't build. In order to market and advertise, that's to bring in more business,
Right.
theoretically, right? That seems to be the why pay for that if you're not going to? And our problem is that we have the business there, we can't deliver it because we have to have more staff and team members. And so we have decided to 4X the Palmer Law Group, because now that we have Jennifer, she's able to manage and do that. And we have our good structures, and especially with the podcast and the attention that this is getting, we just have to increase our capacity to be able to deliver that out. And our marketing has been more branding. It's just the brand of Soft Divorce.
Yeah.
Marketing, you have to be extremely careful with. Like, if you're not set up as a firm, and like, for example, if it's just you and you don't have a paralegal, or it's you and a receptionist, or it's you and a paralegal and you don't have a receptionist, whatever your setup is, you don't want to go crazy with marketing, because then if the business starts flooding you and you're not prepared,
It destroys you.
now you're sinking ship. And the last thing you want to be is a sinking ship. So you have to make sure you have your structure in place. The prime example I can tell you is when I ran restaurants, like for example, Bob's, when I ran Bob's and I first started there, we were connected to a convention center. That's where the hotel was. So business always come into me. I didn't have to worry about marketing, or I had to execute well.
Mhm.
Every time we had a convention, we had to do well. We had to understand the convention, understand the clientele that was coming through our doors, and know exactly how to deliver the services. But the thing is, when I started, they had 8 servers on staff, I think, total. And I remember going, why is the staff so low? This is a pretty good sized restaurant. All these tables can pop up and I can make this restaurant way bigger and take care of more guests and all this other stuff. So I immediately hired 5 more servers, made sure the kitchen had enough staffing, added some more, we call them DRAs, but dining room assistants or bussers, made sure the front desk was staffed. We had a great maitre d', but she needed somebody behind her, a good solid assistant. Make sure the bar was staffed. And then I opened the floodgates. And that first year I increased business by $600,000. And I remember our corporate office, how the heck did she do that? Da, 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 da. And it wasn't because I didn't have the tools really. I didn't have the tools in the sense of staffing, but I fixed that. But we had everything there to do it. We had the extra chairs. We had the tables that could pop up. I could do all this stuff. And I remember saying one day to the maitre d', because she had been there for a while, I was like, Kristen, tell me something. I don't understand. These are the same convention year after year. Why are we doing so much more business? Why have our guest counts went from doing 125 guests last year to 250 guests? And she's like, because you staffed the restaurant and you opened the doors. The GM prior to you would shut down the restaurant. He wouldn't have everything going. And I was like, oh.
You increase capacity.
Exactly. So,
You have to increase the capacity first.
and it works
You
the same
have to.
way.
Right.
Because imagine if she was there and there was a crowd of people just standing there getting pissed off because everything is slow and they're waiting for a table and they can't get in. I mean,
And they see empty tables.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Well, why is this because people will walk in and they'll look around.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, well, why is that whole section not seated? You can't lie to them.
the law firm equivalent of that is you're not answering your phone.
Right.
And then your clients are trying to call you, but PNCs are potential new clients are also trying to call you. And you're not returning anybody's calls back because you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. You're overwhelmed and everything starts sliding and you're working yourself to the bone and you just start messing up, mess this up. Everything becomes half done.
Right.
And you
you start reaching the point of burnout.
fast.
You're burning
Fast.
out and your system's burning out and you're at a point where you can't recover from that. And that's when you lose people too, because people
Yep.
are like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't.
And you've dug yourself into a hole to where now you also don't have the time to find and hire somebody new to fill the positions that you would gladly fill them. And then you don't have the time to train them once they're in. And then it leads to chaos and it leads to inconsistencies and all of that leads to stress. It is a downward spiral. One of the worst problems that you can have as a law firm owner is too much business.
Yeah.
More business than you can handle. Because
I worry about that for us at times, I know how many attorneys we have. I know kind of how much each person can take on. I know how much our paralegals can take on before they start having their breaking points.
Mm-hmm.
I can identify where people's strengths are and their weaknesses are. And, I can sit there and go, you know what, we need to add somebody else over here. We need somebody here because we're gonna sink. And, until you get to a point where you can have an administrator in that role, you yourself have to be able to self-identify your own opportunities, your own staff's opportunities, and be able to help them find solutions.
Yeah.
And so marketing is great and it's needed for every business. The right marketing too. You know,
Right.
we can go through all different lines of marketing. There's some marketing out there that's fantastic. There's some marketing out there, not so much. Print ads, no offense to them, they're great for like your status, but I wouldn't say they're something that's going to really drive tons of business to you.
I told someone yesterday, he was like, well, you're advertising in this magazine and I know what that costs. And like, here's this other alternative thing that can, you know, will help you get exposure to clients. And I told him, I go, I don't advertise in magazines in order to get clients. I advertise in magazines in order to get attorneys to work for us, because they perceive that as that we are status and that we can do that. And it's because attorneys and lawyers, most of them are not entrepreneurial minded at all. Even the ones that own their own law firms are not entrepreneurial minded. They tend to own their own law firm because they think, oh, I don't like having somebody direct me around, or they don't like being like subservient.
Yeah, subservient.
Is it subservient? Are it Serbians?
Subservient.
So subservient to other, you know, like they don't like working for somebody else or whatever. And a lot of that is also that no one's really put a picture on like why they're there. And a lot of it is because like you go, they don't really have like a life plan, because they're just like an Olympian who just won the Olympics. As soon as they get their license, they haven't thought past that, like get my license, and now you're an attorney, and then you're like, oh well, I'm gonna like get a job, and oh, I got my job. Okay, now what? They don't have a real life plan. It's like, how does that actually fit in? And here's the way that should be done is, okay, here's what my salary is. Here's the amount that I'm gonna get for investing, and my whole life is actually the investments. And when I switch from earning my income to my income pays me, meaning I've bought things with the income that I've traded my time for money for, and I've traded money for more money. I've traded money for growth, so that you buy things that then your investments pay you an income that greatly exceeds the income that you get for trading time. And most people that go to work for other attorneys have not done and run that analysis. They don't even think that way. And that's why they're like, oh, I don't know that I like this, or I don't know this, and they don't really have that plan. And they're sort of going around without a steering wheel or a rudder. They just kind of drift from thing to thing, and they think, oh, well, I'll open my own firm, and then that'll magically lead me to wherever. And they don't hire a coach. They've never been trained on how to run the business of a law firm. They think they know how to do it, which is even worse, because thinking that you know how to do something, and like you're going to make all of the dumb mistakes that everybody who's tried to invent the wheel over and over and over again, like it's very predictable. Like, yeah, you're going to have this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, and you're not going to know until you get there. And then once you get there, you're going to try this false solution, this false solution, this false solution, this, and it won't work. You'd have done better to just pay us $100,000 to tell you 3 answers right here that will save you $500,000 and hours of agony and pain and learning the hard way. But they're like, well, but I went to law school and
They don't teach you how to run a law firm in law school.
I know, but I spent hours and hours and hours of pain and agony learning how to do it the hard way. And they go, what did you figure out by the end? It's like, oh yeah, it was all BS. We didn't have to do it the hard way. Here's the easy, fast way to do it, and should have done it that way. Yeah. Hopefully you learn that by the end of law school, and that's the whole point of what law school was, just teach you that.
I think what people need to do when they want to be a lawyer is major in business and then go and go to law school.
Well, I mean, that's every profession, because I mean, you talk to doctors. Doctors don't know how to run medical practices.
I wouldn't even say that.
But also, going to business school doesn't always teach you how to.
That's true. Whatever you want, your major is unimportant. All of that stuff is a credential. And really, if you want to learn how to run, if you want to be a lawyer who owns their own business, you should do it exactly what Denise has done. Is go out, practice, learn, see what kind of area you like, and then find the one that you're like, I want to help these type of clients. I want to do this type of work. and this is exactly what my law firm looks like, and then hire a coach that teaches and guides you on getting you from where you are now to where it is that you want to be,
Right.
to save you and protect you from all of these different mistakes that you could possibly make. Because for the price of a coach, if you were to hire an employee, a good coach would be worth a couple of $100,000 a year if you could get them at that price to come work for you. Or if you're lucky enough to find some miracle worker that would work for $50,000 or $100,000, it's something that it's the decisions and things that have to be done. The knowledge is already out there. All the knowledge, you can go on YouTube, you can subscribe to blogs, you can read, you can see all of this stuff, and the information is abundant and free. It's all there. You need to pay basically nothing for that, or maybe like, okay, $30 here, $100 here. And what you're paying for is not the knowledge itself, it's the organization of the knowledge. And like, okay, somebody organized it like this, so maybe I have the discipline to do it this. The real purpose of the coach is to go, where exactly are you? And in this wealth of knowledge of like, here's how to do everything. Where are you really right now? And what is it your best next step? Based on my experience and my diagnosis that a computer cannot do. So to learn business in an academic setting, I think it's a waste.
Well,
you know how you learn business? I think, and I agree with you to a certain extent, but I think
I agree with you too.
it's experience. And doing it.
I will say, like for me, it was all the years of managing.
So here's an interesting thing, and I know what we'll do. We'll do that. Here's the teaser is the people that you got that majored in hospitality
Oh yeah.
that then come in, and that's what we're going to do in the next episode of the Lawyer Dana podcast. Thanks for episode 8, and I think we're going to roll right into episode 9 and pick up right there. We'll see you in the next episode.
Like our page.
And subscribe. LawyerDenise.com.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.